Hi everyone, my name is Coral, otherwise known as Luna's mom. And as you guys know, this month is Brain Tumor Awareness Month, and we are having parents and caregivers and brain tumor warriors themselves coming on here and telling their story. Today, I'm going to hand it over to Blanca if you want to introduce yourself.
My name is Blanca. I am Leah's mom, and Leah had DIPG.
One question that I start this with is, aside from the brain tumor, aside from the cancer, tell us who Leah was. Tell us about
Okay.
her, her life, who she was, what you remember her as, and what her family remembers her as.
Okay.
I know, it's a loaded question.
Yeah, it
I
is. But then
feel you,
also
madam.
this is also good too because I actually have a toy drive coming up. So this is my first time actually like talking about her
Okay.
story freely. So I
Mhm,
feel like this is like, it's gonna help. Leah, she was an only child for about 10 years.
mhm,
Uh, she was very independent, very creative, more creative than me.
mhm,
Like I don't know where she got that from, honestly. She was very adventurous. She used to love going places, trying new things. She was a straight A student. Like I could just continue going on and
mhm,
on. I think it was during COVID, everything was shut down. Kids were
mhm,
spending time on tablets and laptops. Leah mentioned her vision was bothering her, so I took her to the doctors. Once I took her to the doctors, they pretty much had gave us a referral to see an eye doctor.
mhm,
And then, obviously I guess they seen something, so it led to an MRI. Then the
mhm,
MRI led to going straight down to Children's Hospital. Um,
mhm,
Leah was, I think, 10 years old when she was
mhm,
diagnosed with DIPG. Leah mentioned the eye vision, that she was having
mhm,
trouble with her eyes. I took her
mhm,
right away. And
mhm,
this was actually her first time going to this pediatric, and they
mhm.
were very wonderful. Like she even noticed the imbalance too. And
Uh-huh.
I didn't notice too much of it just because she was, 10 years old and she would joke around a
Right.
lot. We have a
Mhm,
dog she was consistently playing with. The doctor actually noticed something else, so she kind of just, made referrals, which I
mhm,
appreciate because, I didn't expect it would lead to that. So
mhm,
honestly, I still go see this pediatric, and I thanked her because if it wasn't for her, I honestly, I don't think we would have moved as fast as we did.
yeah.
She was actually pretty helpful with us. Yeah, they gave us the disc and was like, you need to go straight to Children's Hospital.
Mhm,
Once we got to Children's Hospital, Dad actually went first. He handed the disc. No one told us what was going on. So we're
mhm.
sitting in the waiting room. They kind of was just moving pretty fast, hooking her up, to IVs and everything. We're still asking like what's going on, and they're,
They
saying
did
they're not.
not give you, when she had the MRI, they did not give you any of the results. They just said you
So
need
they
to go.
told us that she had like a mass, but
Hmm.
that's all we knew.
Right.
So when we went to Children's Hospital, we kept asking questions. They told us that we were going to be able to pick. Obviously, that's when everything changed.
Yeah.
Um, Once we got to pick, we were swamped with so many doctors and like professional medical people that were just coming in.
Hmm.
Um, and they was making us pretty much make decisions right away. They were telling us, what it was. Obviously, once you hear cancer, and brain tumor, like
Hmm.
any normal parent, like I was crying, I was,
Yeah.
yelling, I was, throwing up. Like I didn't, it just wasn't registering. So, I pretty much they showed me like how it, the tumor was, and I'm like begging the doctors, like, can you please remove it? And then that's when they had, broke the news and told me like it just wasn't able to be removed.
Wasn't
So
operable.
literally that same day, we had to decide what we were gonna do. They asked us if we wanted to do a biopsy to, obviously figure out further information
Hmm.
on it, and they were recommending a shunt.
Hmm.
So I think probably 2 days after is when they did the surgeries for both.
Hmm.
When Leah came back from surgery, like you could see the difference, like you could see the difference. So it was very, very hard, and I think it was harder because she was a teenager, so she understood that she had brain cancer.
Yeah.
um I asked her if she wanted to know specifically what type of brain cancer. She said she didn't want to know any more than what she knew. So it was
How old
very,
was
very
she?
difficult.
How old was
She
she
was
when she?
10. She was
Okay.
10, going into
Okay.
11. So it was very difficult because with a teenager, like, they understand, they'll shut down. So
Hmm.
it was a consistent battle of like just trying
Hmm.
to talk to her. But I also was trying to be mindful and respectful to what she wanted. So Leah only knew that at that moment that it was brain cancer. So, they told us all the information they had to tell us away from Leah.
Hmm.
Um, Leah just wasn't trying to find out anymore. I think that it was the fear of just knowing what it was, and her
Yeah.
age, she kind of understood a bit more.
Hmm.
So I had to filter a lot when I was around Leah when it came to that.
That must have been really hard. Luna, she was 4, but someone like Leah, she comprehends a little bit better what um the situation may be. Maybe not fully, but it must be part. It was hard on your mama heart to just know that, you know?
Yeah, and I tried so much to talk to her about it, but she just didn't want to. And, all I thought about was I didn't want her to be depressed. I didn't want her to be upset. So if she doesn't want to know, then I'm not, gonna force
Or
the
carry that,
information on her.
yeah, carry the heaviness of that prognosis. It's a lot.
Yeah,
I know your pain, Mama. I know your pain. Luna had DMG, which is essentially the same thing.
yeah,
Um, and it's hard to see your child and wanting to fix it for them and not
yeah,
being able to.
yeah. It was just very difficult. Like sometimes, honestly, I used to wish she was younger. I felt like if she was younger, maybe things would have been a little bit more easier. You know, once uh once we were released, we had to do radiation. That's always like the first thing to go. So she understood. She was very, am I going to lose my hair? So, we told her it was going to be on the back of her hair, so she was okay with that. She was more worried about wanting to go to school, pretty much be a normal teenager. Um, and then we started a trial, which was ONC201. Yeah, we started the ONC201, and she was having a lot of side effects due to it. So, we decided not to go forward with it because also her tumor ended up growing from it as well too. Um, so it was like every time we were at children, any decisions that had to be made, like I had to talk to her. She was always against everything. And, you know, it was hard for me because I wanted to listen to her and, give her that right to make decisions.
Yeah.
But then I was battling myself because I wanted to do everything in my power and do, like just give it
Yes.
all
Uh-huh.
and just not, want to give up.
Hmm.
So, Leah battled for 17 months. It was
Hmm.
a very, very difficult path for us, because, it was just like consistently just going at it with a teenager. they're just, they're just so different.
Hmm.
Um, and then also just going, with the whole battle of the cancer too, it was very hard for her. She had
Yeah.
a lot of, self-esteem issues. We were trying so hard to, like keep her happy and everything.
Hmm.
Um, I tried my hardest to like reach out to a lot of organizations for
Hmm.
assistance, which
Hmm.
is great,
Hmm.
but I did realize in the midst of doing that, like there's not much for teenagers.
Yeah.
So I felt bad because,
Hmm.
anything that I was trying to look for, like toys or, anything that can keep her happy, like there wasn't
Hmm.
much options. It was like, for the younger kids. So she
Yes.
was a bit discouraged about that. Um,
Hmm.
but I would still like try my best to just do anything and everything.
Hmm.
Um, she ended up doing a second round of radiation, because her tumor started growing.
Yeah.
Um, when she did the second round of radiation, it held on, but not for too long compared to the first round. I think she finished the second round in July,
Mm-hmm.
and then by October is when everything just started, going downhill.
Yeah.
It was around my youngest birthday. I have a 2-year-old too. So around her
Mm-hmm.
birthday, Leah was having trouble walking. It got to the point where she wasn't capable of moving anymore. I had to do everything for her.
Mm-hmm.
And it was hard, like when you become a mom, the stages of life. You know that you have to change diapers, you have to take care of them when they're young. Then they start
Mm-hmm.
becoming independent. So it was hard for me and hard for her that we had to go back to that stage at 13.
I always
Uh,
said you go through all these milestones that you celebrate when they hit, and with brain tumors, it's like they're stripped away slowly of each and one of those, and you grieve everything that you once celebrated.
yeah, it was very difficult. She was just as tall as I was. Steroids increases their
Yeah.
weight as well too.
Mm-hmm.
So it took almost 3 people to help lift her and help do everything for her. And she used to cry because, she wanted to be able to just like go to school, be a normal
You did.
teenager,
Mm-hmm.
and to know that she had to depend on us for us to dress her, to change her, to feed her. I know that deep down inside my daughter knew what was going on. I tried so hard to ask her and talk to her, but she just like wouldn't want to talk about it. So I think I carry that with me.
It's okay. I know how you're feeling. It's hard
It
because
is.
it should never be our kid's life. We should never have to sit there and watch, like helplessly watch our child be stripped away from every single one of their functions. And no child should have to feel that. It's unfair. Well,
You know, I just wish deep down inside, like, I was able to just talk to Leah and just ask her, like, I asked her all the time, like, can you please tell me what you know? She just like wouldn't. So I tried, therapy, music therapy, art therapy, stuff like that. Obviously, she was old enough to, speak her feelings and everything like that. Um so there wasn't much that they were able to share with me, due to privacy and everything, but they did share that she was worried about me. So I used to tell her all the time, like, don't worry about me. Like, you're the priority. Like, I would flip my whole house upside down to, like, make you comfortable, do everything for you. Like, you're my life.
yeah,
I had her at 18, so we practically grew up together.
yep. Hmm.
So, I tried to, like, reassure her, but her social worker told me that they work with teenagers and young adults, so they said that's a normal feeling for most of them, that they worry about the parents. So they'll like shut down emotions and not want to speak freely about how they feel and stuff like that. And I just wish it was different.
Yeah.
I tried so hard to find other kids that were like around the same age range that were like in the cancer world, but it was just so difficult. I tried so hard to find kids, that were in the cancer world around her age range that she was able to like, connect with. And it's hard. Like I live in DC.
Hmm.
I'm part of the DIPG group on Facebook.
Hmm.
I try to look on Instagram, but there's not too many that are
Yeah.
out there, and I just feel like they also might have the same trouble like I do. Our
Hmm.
teenagers don't want to speak on it. Um, so I think that's like my biggest guilt, that I wish she had other kids that she can talk to that, could understand her. And maybe, she would have felt a bit more comfortable to be more open with me. But as a mom, you're helpless. Like, you're just trying to do anything and everything. And, once, they're taken, like, you just feel so much guilt.
I mean, guilt is a very common feeling that a lot of us share. I I feel it, even though I know that there's nothing that we could have done to change it, nothing that we could have done to nothing. There's that guilt, and this is something that I always tell parents. Every decision that you made for your child, please know that that was the right decision. You couldn't, like, in that moment, you went with what you felt was right. And I admire you for taking into consideration her and Leah and what she wanted. And that is huge. And as much as she maybe not opened up, I feel like it empowered her in a way to know that mom cared enough about her as not just a child or a kid, but as a person.
Yeah. You know,
And it's hard.
that's what I wanted to do. Like, I've always taught her, like, speak how you feel. You can always tell me if something feels right or something doesn't. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it was difficult because I wanted to advocate so much. Like, I wanted to, like, teach my community, like, what was going on. And she was just like, all you can tell people is that I have a brain tumor. Like, that's it. You cannot tell anyone anything else. And it was hard. Like, I felt like I was in a bubble, and I just like wanted to scream on top of my lungs and like tell everyone, like, my kid has this, like, this is real, like, this is happening. But, I just wanted to be respectful to my daughter. So I was
And
very
that's
limited what I could say.
yeah, and that's everything I think for a child, for you to actually respect that, because I feel like she probably felt safe with you because you respected those wishes of her. Although it was, I'm sure, so hard on you because I know that I like leaned on the community a lot, and that's where, I got a lot of support. So I can only imagine how hard it was to not have that.
Yeah, it was difficult. I used to
Yeah.
just try to talk to her, like, Leah, please, and she's just like,
Mhm.
no, mom, like, no.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
I wanted to not make her, upset, like,
Yeah.
depressed or anything like that, because my
Mhm.
biggest fear was her emotions can control
Oh.
everything. Like, if she
Mhm.
starts feeling, depressed or anything like that, like, I
Mhm.
don't know if that can just, change things. So I was just like, no, I'm just going to try to
Mhm.
keep her happy and just do everything that I can for her and just listen to her. So,
Mhm.
you know, it's just, it's just, I just obviously wish that this wasn't my life.
Mhm.
We actually just turned 3 months this month. So it's like really fresh for us right now. I've been just struggling with so much, like, just trying to see like who else is out there, and I realized,
Mhm.
like, every day that there's like either newly diagnosed kids or, children that are dying from this. And
Yeah.
I just sit there and I'm just like, how can this happen to all of us? Like, I
Mhm.
don't understand, like, how is it that people don't see how important this is, And I just feel like they don't see it until it hits them.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the things that I'm like, you have this feeling of just wanting to like grab them and just shake them, like listen, please hear our stories, listen to us, hear our stories, and like help us, because I together we are much louder, and this should not be happening. This should not be your story. It should not be our story. It should not be Luna's or Leah's. It shouldn't be anybody's story. It's unfair.
Yeah. And then I forgot the most important part.
Mm.
In the
It's
midst of her battling all of this, she ended up opening a shop on Etsy.
She did.
She opened a shop on Etsy.
Mhm.
I realized that, crafting was very therapeutic, for her.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
realized building Legos, making
Mhm.
bracelets,
Yes.
crafting in any sort of way was very helpful for her.
Mhm.
It got to the point where we're just like, Leah, like, maybe you should start a shop and see how it goes.
Yeah.
So she actually has a shop on Etsy. She
Mhm.
devoted all her time on her shop. Like that
What did
made
she
her
sell?
so
What did
happy.
she sell in her shop?
So it was bracelets,
Mhm.
necklace, wired rings.
Mhm.
She was like painting a lot of pots. She was
Okay.
like also using
Mhm.
clay to make
Mhm.
pretty much like make trays and stuff like that. So
Mhm.
it was just amazing just to see like how she was just so devoted. Even when she had like little, mobility on
Mhm.
one side of her hand, she was still
Yeah.
trying to like make
Wow.
it.
Yeah.
Um, we ended up doing pretty much a pop-up
Mhm.
shop in front of my house, and
Mhm.
we kind of like, put it all over social
Yeah.
media. And that was like probably one of the most happiest days of her life because she ended up making like $1,000.
Wow. That
I
was
know.
that's
So it was so
amazing.
awesome, and just to see how excited she was. So
Uplifted.
yeah, it did. And we like when Leah had passed, we shut down her shop for a little bit because
Mhm.
I didn't have it in me to like
Yeah,
could
it's a lot.
do, to do a lot. But then we finally opened up her shop, I think around her birthday. Her birthday was in
Mhm.
February.
What is her shop
Um,
called?
it's Lives Art and Craft. Yeah, Lives Art
Okay.
and Craft because it's her initials, Leah Isabel Velasquez, and then Arts and Craft.
Okay. Mhm.
Um, so we ended up opening her shop with some of the items that she already had here,
Mhm.
and probably less than an hour, everything sold out. So it was
Wow.
just great to see that people were still, purchasing from
Yeah.
her. We ended up with 400 sales in total, for her shop.
Right?
So we have
She
her
was a
shop
good
open. She was
businesswoman
such
then.
a, yeah, she was. Like she had so many plans, and I think
Mhm.
that is also, like it eats me up because she would talk so
Mhm.
much about the future, things that she wanted to
Mhm.
do, and I wanted that for her so bad, but us as parents, like we know like what's going to happen. So, I keep telling myself that all I can do is just try to find ways to just honor her and, continue on what she started because she deserved to be here, and just to know that that this took her away, like it's just not fair. So I just been like trying to find ways to just continue on doing anything crafting related for her, just to like uplift just her
Yeah.
legacy and uplift us.
That's a way that you yourself can continue to keep her legacy here and um ensure that people know who Leah was and the beautiful art that she poured her heart into and loved so much. And I think that's a beautiful way to do it. And um I don't know, like have you thought about ways to do it through her art? Like maybe replicating some of her art in certain ways?
Yeah, so we actually are trying, me and my sisters were actually trying to start an organization as
Mm-hmm.
well. We are trying to go based off of all the crafting that she's done and,
Mm-hmm.
try to
Mm-hmm.
find ways to give back to other children.
Mm-hmm.
Because I realize that, teenagers are kind of left behind on a lot of
Mm-hmm.
things, and, you know, I feel like they need to be included in
Yes.
the cancer world. Like you don't
Mm-hmm.
hear too much of that.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess me being a teenage mom, like I see what worked and what didn't work, and I seen
Mm-hmm.
craft and work.
Mm-hmm.
And so what we've been trying to do is like right now, like I told you earlier, that we're actually
Mm-hmm.
going to try to do our first toy drive. The goal is to just do anything and everything that she loved. Like she loved Legos. So we're hoping
Yeah.
that first 6 months we can purchase mini Legos and give to
Mm-hmm.
Children's Hospital. Some of the bracelets that she had, I
Mm-hmm.
kind of was able to learn from her. So I've been like trying to take my time, trying to do stuff like that so I can also like kind of just give off everything that Leah
Yes.
was doing. So
Mm-hmm.
Leah taught me a few things, so I've been just trying to work on those to just keep all that alive because
Mm-hmm.
she wouldn't want it any other way. And I keep telling
Yeah.
myself, Leah would beat me up if I didn't try to do, what she loved. Like she would be
Yeah.
upset when we shot for a little bit. So I was like, no, like we have to find ways to keep this
Yeah.
alive. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what we're trying to do, incorporate it into
Yeah.
trying to build an organization and try to give out to kids around her age as well
Yes.
too.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing. And you can even do like bracelet kits, like that kids can make their own kits, kind of reflecting some of the type of bracelets that she made, whether it was the wire ones or just stuff that she loved. I think she would be very proud of you for wanting to continue to honor her that way and thinking of her in the things that you continue to do as she's not physically here.
I mean, she's been with me my whole life, 13 years. So I told myself that I need to find ways to honor her, whether it be the simplest things ever. Like, I need to honor
Mhm.
her every single day because even though she's not physically here, like, I want to make sure my daughter's, name is out there, her story's out there. Like, she needs to be here. Her
Yeah.
legacy needs to be here.
You said she fought for 17 months
Yeah, 17 months.
and she got 2 rounds of radiation. How much was the first one?
We did I think it was the 30 rounds to start off.
When she got the radiation, how much was the second one?
The second one was actually less than that. Like I think they
Mm.
wanted to be a bit more aggressive just to
Yeah.
see if that was going to be helpful.
Talk about symptoms that you probably saw after radiation or like side effects, because I know typically it takes about 4 to 6 months until the side effects start.
Definitely hair loss. That
Hmm.
was one of the things that was like really noticeable. Um, It was also we had to do PT and OT at the same time as well too because Leah, like her mobility, her speech,
Hmm.
as well as just eating, the
Hmm.
choking. What else? It was the steroids she had to do at the same time. So they gain weight, the face
Hmm.
swelling.
Yes.
She was having troubles kind of hearing from one of her
Hmm.
ears as well
Uh-huh.
too. It was actually just a lot that was just,
Hmm.
coming with the effects
Yeah.
of it. So,
Mhm.
I was trying my hardest. I was calling children's almost every other day, like, what can you guys do to help me fix this? Like, we need
Mhm.
to ease this. Like, we need to
Mhm.
find ways to, make it a bit more comfortable for her.
Yeah.
And a lot of things needed to play its course, which was unfortunate.
And I think a lot of people don't know that sometimes the first and pretty much the only thing that they really give you for the side effects of radiations are steroids. And
Yeah,
then steroids in itself, like you mentioned, have side effects themselves. What they call moon phase, it's a lot of water retention. So the kids gain weight. They're very irritable and moody. Like
yeah.
they're miserable on steroids.
And
And
they're
that is
so hungry. So hungry.
Yes. I remember Luna would eat something and then I'm hungry. I want this. Like it's just that on top of the irritability. It's just unfair that the only option they have is something that's going to give them additional side effects to what
Yeah,
they already
yeah.
enduring.
And I hate that it's like the go-to for it.
Yeah. Mhm.
Obviously when you're like brought in it right away, like you don't know much about it. You're trying to do
Mhm.
your own research. You're handed
Yes.
so many paperwork
Yeah.
of you
Mhm.
need to look into this, figure out what you want to do and telling you
Mhm.
all the side effects and then you're thinking, is this something that's really going to help? Then they start
Mhm.
giving you statistics and stuff like that and then,
Mhm.
you go for it because you realize that is only the option for now. And
Yes.
then that's when clinical trials can be introduced and
Mhm.
stuff like that. But
Yeah.
not all kids qualify for all clinical trials. I've tried
Mhm.
to have Leah, in certain clinical trials, and she didn't meet all of,
Yeah.
what is it that they were asking for. And I
Mm-hmm.
was even willing to travel outside of state,
Mm-hmm.
and they were just requiring more stuff. And at what point, like, you want to do everything as a parent, but then you don't want to put your child through more stuff. So then you really sit there and think about, is this something that you want to put your child through? Like, you
quality
know,
over quality over quantity, and it's talked about a lot, especially with these diagnoses, is um immediately they say, quality over quantity if that's something that you want to do. And I feel like when you're put in that place at the beginning, especially, you're like, well, I want to do anything we need to do to save my child. And then it's like the reality hits of the diagnosis and the heaviness of the prognosis, that it's not like other cancers that might have a 90% survival.
yeah.
We're dealing with the 1% or less than 1%, and even then you still hope that your child's the one kid that's going to be it. That's something that I don't think we ever let go of, that hope.
Yeah, especially when you're given that time, when they tell you
Mhm.
you have 9 months to 12, 9 to 12 months. What am I supposed to do with that? You're giving me so much information. I feel like I don't have enough time to process everything. And then you're telling me to make decisions, but then I'm seeing the decisions that I'm making and the effects that it's causing also with the effects of the tumor. It's a lot. It's overwhelming. I had to pick up therapy, when this happened with Leah. I had to pick up therapy. I had to help put Leah in therapy too, because
Mhm.
it rocks your world. Like, it literally just turns everything upside down.
Mhm.
And at some point, even though you have a good support system, community and everything,
Mhm.
you still feel alone. You still feel alone.
Yes.
You still feel
Yeah.
alone. No, I
Nobody
was
really
gonna say,
understands you unless they
yeah,
walk through shoes. Like they
yeah,
can
and
understand to a certain extent, but not unless they've walked in your shoes.
yeah, and I think that is what I've always desired throughout Leah's time that she battled,
Mhm.
that I wish I was connected to another DIPG family or
Mhm.
even DMG,
Yeah.
just to feel like we're in the same path and we can feed off of each other,
Yes.
just like be there for each other.
Mhm.
But, our community is not as small as people think. I
Yeah.
feel like now people are starting to be more comfortable opening
Mhm.
up, which I feel like is great because we need
It's
more,
awareness.
light. We need more light in all of this. Like, we shouldn't have to worry about the next child and how long they
Yeah.
have. Like,
Mhm.
we need to focus on what can we do to save our kids.
Well, I'll tell you this, you're not alone. And I know it's fairly fresh. It's for me too. It's only been 10 months. Um, but you're not alone. So just know that whenever you need anybody to talk to, I'm here. I always tell people, if I don't answer right away, keep sending it. It'll bump up. My DMs are crazy, but you're not alone through this. And this is something that with Luna's Everglow, I have a focus of, and I do a lot of it like myself, is families that have lost a child to cancer, letting them know that they're not alone, that they're not going to walk it alone, because I never want anybody to feel like they don't have anybody to relate in, because like you said, you can have all the support, but nobody's going to understand it like someone that's walked in your shoes. Your parents, your family, your grandma, well, they will understand to a certain extent, and they will feel it to a certain extent, but no one truly gets it unless they're a bereaved parent themselves.
Yeah.
And it's hard. So I don't want you to ever feel alone. Um, because you're not. And I know how hard, and I know all the thoughts, and I know all of it. It's a lot for one person to just intake, and some days are heavier than other days. But I always say we just got to take it one moment at a time and live the life that our kids fought so hard to live and they were denied. And it's our job essentially now to carry on their legacy. I want people to understand too that you don't have to go out and like do a foundation and do all these things to carry on your legacy. Like, you can just do small things. Like, even in your day-to-day life, do the things that she enjoyed to do the things that she loved to do. Because some of us, we all grieve differently. We all do this differently. Some of us go all in, some of us just shut down. And I find myself some days I'm all in. Some days I shut down and I don't want to talk to anybody, and it's all normal and it's valid.
Yeah. That's how it was for me in the beginning. Like I had shut down completely because I was in denial. I was in denial. Like I just couldn't believe this is, this was me. This was my life. Like I thought that everything was perfect until obviously this
Mhm.
happened.
Mhm.
Um, I have been working with myself, and thankfully, I do
Mhm.
have a great support system when it comes to my family. They've been
Yeah.
uplifting me, making sure that, I get up and, just
Mhm.
do the basic things. And they would
Yeah.
congratulate me when I was doing the
Mhm.
basic things. So that just,
Yeah.
it meant a lot to me. Like,
Mhm.
I didn't need to feel like I need to do the most. Like, I could just
Yeah.
get up and shower today, and that was
Mhm.
a win for me.
Mhm.
So,
Yes.
I have, like you said, also just finding different ways to honor her,
Mhm.
whether, be to continue texting her and telling her how my day was, or, just buying her flowers. Just, I'm always trying to find different ways to honor her,
Mhm.
and just trying to keep her legacy going
Mhm.
because she's my baby and she
Yeah.
deserved to be here.
Will always be your baby. Always. And that's something that I want people to know. People think that children pass and it just is like they're gone, but there will always be our baby. There will always be our child because they live. What is it that you want people to know? Like what people that may not know brain cancer, brain tumors, people that may not know any of this, or people that want to know more. What's something that you want people to know?
Well, cancer doesn't play fair. They don't care who you are. They don't care, about your background. Um, there are a lot of great support out there when you are in this world. Um, you know, open up more as much as you can, listen to your kids, love on your kids, give them the right to make decisions too, especially when it comes to something so heavy. Don't go based off of Google. Like talk to parents of DIPG and DMG. Like actually talk to us and ask us, any questions. Don't be afraid to ask. Yes, I might cry, but these are real emotions coming out of me because this is not what our lives should be like. To just try to find different ways to support all of this
Mhm.
that we're trying to do because at the end of the day we need more awareness in all of this. Just to know that only 4% goes into childhood cancer is just so upsetting. It just goes a long way with just reposting, with sharing, even just donating $5. Like everything just goes a long way. Our children deserve to be here.
What are some of the things during your journey that you heard that may have been well intended for you? Like it could be during her journey or after that, that it just you felt like it would have been better not said, or things that people might not do that makes you feel like you're forgotten, or just like anything that from
A
your
lot.
experience and your
A
journey.
lot. I think it's a lot more on my end because no one specifically knew it was DIPG, but those that were close to us.
Okay.
So, there's so many different brain cancers. I didn't specify which type of brain cancer due
Mhm.
to my daughter's privacy.
Yeah.
I used to hear stuff like religion. Religion always played a big role in all of that.
Mhm.
God this, God that, just pray. This might be like this is God's plan.
Mhm.
I would just hear a lot of stuff that I would just look at people and just tell them, like, I get where you're coming from, but that's just not helpful. Like, why would you
Mhm.
say that? This is my
Mhm.
child that came out of
Mhm.
me. Why would
Yeah.
this be in God's plan?
Yeah.
I would hear um, pretty much when my daughter finished radiation, when she rang the bell. Oh, so cancer's gone. There's no way that you just thought because she
Mhm.
rang a bell and radiation's done that her cancer is gone.
Mhm.
We need to stop thinking that.
Yes.
You know, it's just them finishing radiation.
Yeah.
It's not
Treatment.
them. No, it's
Mhm.
not that. It's gone. It just, we
Yeah.
have to stop thinking like that.
Mhm.
Or, oh, she looks fine because she has long hair. Oh, so if my child had, she had no hair, then maybe you would take it a little bit more serious.
I think that's a big thing because I always got, well, she's not on chemo, so how is she losing hair? Like you don't lose hair with radiation, but you do. Luna had long, beautiful hair, and she was only left with like a little bit at the bottom and just like the crown up, but
Yeah.
everything else was gone. Kids that have cancer that are in treatment doesn't necessarily mean a bald kid smiling in a commercial. That's not how it is. There's so many different looks.
Yeah, and I would hear, why don't you try St. Jude's? Or, just because it's on a commercial, you think that's the best place to go. Teach a couple people
Yeah.
like what it really was and just tell them like, hey, like you kind of got to watch what you say because stuff like that is hurtful. When she was doing Aunt 201, she had some side effects. Like she had thicker eyebrows and like darker, but it was starting to become light.
Okay.
So certain kids would just be like, "Oh, why her eyebrows look like that?"
Mhm.
Or after the shunt, like like things are a bit more different for them, like
Yes.
side effects seem a little bit more,
Mhm.
like stronger than before. Um, Kids would be like, why is Leah like that? Like, and she would
Mhm.
hear stuff like that. So
Yeah.
because of hearing stuff like that, my daughter actually shut down my house. She did not allow any kids to come in my house when she started declining
Yes.
because she was afraid that a child would say something and it would hurt her. So I
Yeah.
did what my daughter wanted, and I felt horrible because from the month of October up until January, my daughter was not around any kids whatsoever, besides her younger sister, because of
Mhm.
not wanting to hear what other kids say about her.
I'm sorry. Kids are so cruel.
And I think it starts with parents. We
Yes.
have to educate our children,
Mhm.
whether if you're, whether cancer has hit you or not. Like, we still
Mhm.
need to educate our children.
Yeah.
You can't just say certain things. Like, if you're curious, then,
Mhm.
obviously we have to kind of explain
Yeah.
it to them. And I spoke
Mhm.
to all the parents and told everyone, like,
Mhm.
hey, talk to your children beforehand.
Yes.
Just be
Mhm.
mindful of what they say because at the end of the day, it's my daughter before anyone
Yeah.
else.
Yes.
So, it was a lot of things that was said. And even afterwards, when Leah
Yeah.
passed, I
Yeah.
heard a lot where it's, she's with God,
Mhm.
or God wanted his warrior back. And I'm just like, why do you think that's okay? Like, I'm a mother that is devastated wanting her daughter back. Like, why do you think that that is
Yeah.
like something that you can
Yeah.
say? So a lot of things has been said. I have been advocating for myself.
Mhm.
I have been, trying to educate people as well too, and just kind of finding certain posts on social media or even posting myself saying what not to say,
Yeah.
just because, someone's grieving or trying to compare,
Yeah.
losses as well too. Like that, I think that's the biggest thing for me right now. If you lost a parent, they live life,
Mhm.
but I lost a child that has barely touched this earth.
Mhm.
That's not how life should be. We
Mhm.
should not lose our children. So
No,
that's
it's
when
not
people just,
normal. It's
yeah,
not
so that's when people
normal.
stop saying stuff like that.
So I think it's a very touchy subject, but it's the reality. And I always say there's no greater pain than losing a child. Yes, losing your parent hurts. Yes, other losses are so there's it's a lot of pain, it's a lot of grief, yeah. But losing a child is on a completely different level.
Yeah.
That's the only way that people will become more aware when we tell them like, "Hey, like this is the reality and you can't tell me otherwise because you're not living it. You haven't, you're not it's not your reality." So you don't know what you don't know. So it's like
Yeah.
I'm telling you that it's don't speak on it unless you've been through it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Sometimes no words are better, just sending hearts or, sending hug
Mhm.
emojis, like that goes a long way. You don't,
Yes.
if you don't know what to say, then just
Mhm.
ask, it's better
Mhm.
to talk to us and ask us
Yes.
what's okay to say, or or if you
Mhm.
don't know too much, then ask us and we can help educate you in all of this.
Yeah, most definitely. I wanted to ask you too about the clinical trial because um, you said you did the ONC 201. So,
Yeah,
yeah, the
I
ONC
think it's
201.
the how do you pronounce that word? It starts with a P. The paral pra
Yeah, I know which one you were talking because that's a clinical trial that Luna was actually qualified for and something that we wanted to put her on, but we actually opted out of because Luna's tumor, again, people always say, oh, ONC 201. I used to hear ONC 201. It's been promising. Kids are living longer with that one. Here, you only hear like lots of good things. But, I just heard from you saying that it showed progression in your daughter. So
yeah,
for
so
Luna, the neurosurgeon also said, I'm telling you from actually witnessing firsthand, Luna has a mutation that actually has shown to show progression. And I was like, I can't risk that. There's not enough education for these things. It's like we have a clinical trial, this is it. They brief you on it, but they don't the parent has to take it upon themselves. But everything that I've heard about ONC 201 is good things, but there is these cases that, it's done the opposite.
yeah, so Leah was I think is I don't know what the P word, but it's like P onc 201. It was a
Yeah.
combo of two. So Leah had a lot of bad side effects. Like we were
Hmm.
hospitalized actually more
Hmm.
being on this clinical trial than
Hmm.
her tumor, like the DIPG.
Yeah.
I think we were hospitalized 3 times. We were in the hospital about a week or more.
Hmm.
Leah would become very dehydrated.
Hmm.
Leah would have a lot of stomach issues.
Hmm.
Um, Leah would be in just like so much pain. So
Hmm.
eventually we got off of the one of the medicines and just I
Hmm.
forgot what, like I said, the
Yeah.
with the P.
Hmm. Yeah.
So then we were doing ONC 201, and then
Hmm.
even with the ONC 201 we ended up doing an MRI. Her tumor grew, and I just made the decision of why would I continue something on if the purpose
Yeah.
of it was to either stabilize the tumor
Hmm.
or
Hmm.
decrease it. So
Yeah.
we got off of it because we realized it was actually hurting her more than actually helping her.
How long was she on it?
Only for a few months. Like she just wasn't on it for too long, just because, like I said, she had very bad side effects. Like I
Hmm.
was just consistently calling her team,
Hmm.
going in because of dehydration
Yeah.
and just like she's not sleeping well, and
Mhm.
she was having a lot of stomach issues. So I just told myself like this is causing more harm to her. Like how is this supposed to help her? So I took,
Mhm.
we decided, both of
Yeah.
us, like we're
Mhm.
done.
Yes.
And then we were doing Avastin. We did
Hmm.
Avastin, and we did
Hmm.
Avastin for quite some time too, which we thought was helpful. But then obviously towards the end, we realized her tumor was still growing, and we just
Hmm.
finally went no treatment, and
Hmm.
you know, just try to take care of her and do what we could for
Yeah.
her.
Hmm. Yeah. I think it's important, yeah, to talk about the side effects and how clinical trials work because these are drugs that are being tested and not
Yeah.
essentially drugs that have been shown to work. And there's that, I think the stigma that, oh, a clinical trial is going like to help, that's what you need to go. But there's phases in these trials. I think there needs to be more education on that aspect as well.
Yeah. And we were interested in doing other
Mhm.
trials, but
Mhm.
everything else just sounded so scary. Like the side effects sounded more intense. And Leah was just like, "Mom, like I don't want to do this. Like I don't want to
Mhm.
do this. I don't want to do any more surgeries. I don't want to do, anything else that is going to put me through more pain." So I
Yeah.
decided, like, she spoke, and this is what
Mhm.
we're going to do. But as a parent, you're stuck with feeling that guilt where you're just like,
Mhm.
what else is there? Like, what else can
Yeah.
be out there?
You want to make sure that you've tried everything and
Yeah.
you gave it your
Like, I
all.
was on
And
Google just trying to find, like, in other countries, like, I was willing
yeah.
to fly somewhere far
Mhm.
away to see if they had
Mhm.
a better, success rate than
Yeah.
here.
It's hard.
And
It's